This is the very best sourdough pizza dough recipe. If you've made sourdough bread and you've had a fail and you're feeling a little bit discouraged, this is the recipe for you. This sourdough pizza dough is so easy to make. It's no fail. You literally cannot screw it up and it's delicious. Let me show you how to make it. You only need 5 things to make my holy grail pizza dough. Let me show you what they are. You're gonna need a high protein bread flour, some water, of course, your sourdough starter, make sure it's active. You're gonna need a little bit of olive oil and some salt. Now, what is missing from this pizza dough recipe? There's no sugar and no honey, because you know what? You don't need it. This is gonna be great without sugar and without honey in it. All you need are these 5 things. Let me show you how to make it. One thing I love about making sourdough pizza dough is that it's so easy. You're just literally gonna dump everything in your bowl and mix it together. We're not doing an auto-lease or holding back the salt, nothing. So I'm dumping in my bread flour, and that is 420 grams of bread flour, and I'm gonna add 285 grams of water. Now, the recipe is gonna be down below for you, so it's right down there. You can check it all out. Then I'm gonna add my salt. I'm adding in 10 grams of salt. I've got a really good olive oil. This is a Sicilian olive oil. It's my favorite. I'm gonna add in 8 grams of olive oil. And then I'm gonna add in my sourdough starter. So I'm using 85 grams of my active sourdough starter. Now I'm gonna tell you, I've actually made this recipe using discard that was just a couple of days old. Not discard that had been in my refrigerator for weeks, but just like 3-day-old discard, and it turned out just fine. So I have active sourdough starter, that's what I recommend, but if all you have is discard that's a couple days old, it worked for me when I did it, and I think it'll work for you too. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna do a really good mix on this. I've added all of my ingredients to this bowl. And if you have a stand mixer like a KitchenAid or a Bosch, you could totally do this in your stand mixer. It would be even easier. But if you don't have one of those, I'm gonna show you how to do it by hand. You're just gonna get in there. Remember, friends, sourdough is messy. There's no getting around that. You're gonna have to get your hands in the dough. So what I'm doing right now is just kind of pinching everything together just to sort of get it incorporated to start with. So you can see I'm just doing a pinching motion. And then once it kind of starts to come together, I'll start mixing it a little bit more. Now, this is a super easy recipe for beginners. It's really hard to mess up the bulk fermentation on this, which is where most people mess up with sourdough. So I really encourage you, if you've been struggling with your sourdough and you need a win, this is a win. And honestly, there's a restaurant in town here that makes great sourdough pizza, but it's like $25 for one pizza. And we're gonna make this dough. This is gonna be enough for 2 large pizzas, 2 about 12 to 14 inch pizzas. And honestly, I think our ingredients are gonna cost us about $2 or $3. So it's a great way to have pizza night for your whole family. We do this every Saturday and we look forward to it. We absolutely love it. So you can see that the dough is starting to come together. I'm just gonna kind of clean my hands up a little bit. So I've got the flour mixed in. It's a little bit shaggy. I'm just gonna keep on mixing it. Now I always talk about in all of my sourdough videos how important it is to start developing the gluten by doing a good initial mix. Now that's true for pizza dough as well, although it's gonna be a lot more forgiving. And this is where I say, if you've got a stand mixer, use it. Let your mixer develop that gluten for you, but you can do it by hand as well, like I'm doing here. So I'm just gonna keep mixing this for a couple of minutes. You'll see the dough come together. It already is kind of honestly starting to come together. But we'll bring you back in just a minute so you can see what it looks like when I'm all done mixing. All right, we are almost done mixing our dough, and you can see the method that I'm using to mix this. I've got my hand sort of in a cup, and I'm just pushing the dough, using it to my hand to slam the dough up against the side of the bowl to really start building up that gluten, to develop it and strengthen it. All right, and I'm gonna stop right there. And all I'm gonna do is cover my bowl and let this sit for 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and do stretch and folds. Now, when we make our normal sourdough artisan bread, we'll do 4 rounds of stretch and folds. For pizza dough, we're only gonna do 2. This is meant to be easy and delicious. So I'll show you what it looks like in 30 minutes and we'll start our stretch and folds. All right, our dough has been sitting for about 30 minutes since we mixed it, and now it's time to start our stretch and folds. I'm gonna get my hand wet because anytime that you're dealing with sourdough, it's just kind of a sticky dough. So if you get your hand wet, it helps the dough doesn't stick as much, and we're gonna do our first round of stretch and folds. And like I was saying earlier, with this super easy sourdough pizza dough recipe, we're only gonna do 2 rounds of stretch and folds. So it's gonna save you some time. All right, with my hand wet, I'm gonna reach into my bowl. I'm gonna reach down, grab the dough, pull it up, stretch it, and fold it over. And then I'm gonna turn my bowl a quarter turn and do the same thing. Reach down, grab the dough, pull it up, stretch it, and fold it over. Turn your bowl a quarter turn and do it again. Pull it up, stretch it, and fold the dough over. And then last one, I'm gonna turn my bowl, stretch my dough up, and fold it. So I actually went around the bowl in a full circle, so that was 4 stretch and folds, and that is 1 round of stretch and folds. Now, like I said, normally you would do that if you're making artisan bread 4 times, 4 rounds with 30 minutes in between each round, but we're only gonna do that twice for our pizza dough. This is a no hassle, easy pizza dough. So I'm gonna cover this up. I'm gonna let it rest for 30 minutes so that the gluten can relax, and then we're gonna come back, and instead of doing stretch and folds for the second round, I'm gonna show you a technique that might be new to you called the slap and fold. So after this rests for 30 minutes, we'll come back and we'll do slap and folds instead of the second round of stretch and folds, and then we'll be done with all of our stretching and folding of this pizza dough. So I will see you back here in 30 minutes. All right, the dough's been resting for 30 minutes, and now we're ready to do our second round of stretch and folds, but I'm not gonna do stretch and folds this time. I'm gonna do something called a slap and fold, which is just a more aggressive way of developing and strengthening the gluten in your dough. Now, if you were using this method for your sourdough bread, you would do a slap and fold at the second round of stretch and folds, and then go back to your regular stretch and folds for the 3rd and 4th round, okay? So you don't wanna do this method towards the end of the stretch and folds, because what it can do is deflate any of the gases that have built up in your dough. So I'm gonna take my dough out of this bowl, and this is a really fun part. If you're feeling a little aggressive or you had a bad day, slap and folds are great for that. I'm gonna slap my dough down and fold it over, okay? Then I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna turn it, slap it, and fold it over. That is called a slap and fold. And you can see, just from those couple of slap and folds I did, look at how smooth and strong this dough looks. This is the best way to build gluten in your dough and really strengthen it. I mean, every time that I use this method, I'm always amazed at how strong and smooth my dough looks. So one more time, slap it down and fold it over. Then pick up your dough, turn it, slap it, and fold it over. Okay, and that is all you're gonna do. Now I'm gonna pick my dough up, I'm gonna put it back in my bowl, I'm gonna cover it, and we're gonna let this dough bulk ferment. Now that can take anywhere from 3 to 8 hours. We don't need to stress about this. You're not going to over ferment your pizza dough. So what I recommend is that you just cover this and go about your day. And actually you can set a timer for 5 or 6 hours. You could even leave it for 7 hours, because we're not expecting this to get a really good rise the way that we want when we make sourdough bread. So it's hard to overdo the bulk ferment on the pizza dough. Make this work for your schedule, okay? So I'm gonna cover this. I'll probably leave it for 5 or 6 hours, and then we'll come back, we'll divide it because we've made enough dough for 2 pizza doughs. So we'll divide it and then we'll shape it. All right, I think that bulk fermentation with my pizza dough is done. Now, I love this recipe because it's so forgiving. I mean, honestly, you really can't overdo it. You can actually make this dough in the morning, go about your whole entire day, and then just do the shaping at night. So I love this recipe. So the reason why I think my bulk fermentation is done is because I've got bubbles all along the edges of the dough. I've got a dome top. You can actually see some of the bubbles along the surface of the dough as well. It's light and airy like a marshmallow, and it's not really sticking when I pull it away from the bowl. So I'm gonna dump this dough out, and I'm gonna show you how I pre-shape and final shape my pizza dough. So let's take it out. All right, there we go. Now our recipe made enough for 2 rounds of pizza dough. So I'm just gonna use the straight edge of my dough scraper and I'm gonna divide this in half. You could weigh it if you wanted to make sure that each portion was equal, but this is just for us for dinner and I don't need to get fancy. So I just cut it in half. And now what I'm gonna do is just pre-shape this dough. So I'm gonna take my dough scraper and I'm gonna be pushing the dough under itself as I turn my dough scraper in a counterclockwise motion. So let me move this one over and then you can see. And I'm gonna use my other hand as a guide. So here we go. Turning my dough scraper in a counterclockwise motion. That's it. All we're trying to do is make a nice round of the pizza dough. So let's move this one over and I'm gonna do the other one here. So using my dough scraper to push down and around and using my other hand as a guide. And there you go. Okay, now while this sits, I'm gonna show you what we're gonna put our pizza dough in once we do our final shaping. I've got dough all over my hands. So I just have 2 little deli containers. You could use bowls, you could use plastic bags if that's what you have. Whatever you wanna use is totally fine. I love these like deli containers, they're super easy. I'm gonna take some olive oil here, use whatever olive oil you want, and I'm just gonna coat the inside of this a little bit because we don't want the dough to stick to the inside of the container. My favorite olive oil is this Sicilian one from Trader Joe's. I love it. That's what I have here. But again, you can use whatever olive oil you want. And this is just so that when we put our pizza dough in here, it won't stick because we're gonna need to take it out to make the pizza, okay? So normally if I was making sourdough bread, I would let this pre-shaped dough sit here for about 15 minutes to develop a skin. So when I flip it over and final shape it, it won't be so sticky and the gluten can relax a little. With pizza dough, I'm way more lax. I take the process a lot easier. It's not so serious. You really cannot mess this up. So I'm not even gonna let it sit. I'm not gonna spend the time. I'm just gonna get right into the final shaping here. So all I'm gonna do, I'll start with the one I did first. I'm gonna take my dough, I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna put one hand in the center of the dough here, and then I'm gonna take the edge, pinch, and pull it into the center and go all the way around. I'm just trying to form a nice, tight round of dough. That is it. And now I'm gonna pinch this together. I'm gonna turn it over, and I'm gonna use my hand in a cupping motion. I'm gonna take my pinky here, right here, and I'm actually gonna push this under to kind of tuck the dough under to create some surface tension. So you can see I'm taking my pinky and pushing the dough under and guiding it with my other hand. And that is it. Okay, now I've got a nice tight round of pizza dough. I'm gonna flip it over, make sure the bottom is pinched together. And then here's my oiled container. I wanna make sure I've got oil all the way around the edges. And I'm actually gonna put this just seam side down. I'm just gonna set it right there in the container, put a little more oil on top, spread it around, the lid goes on, and I'm done. What I'm gonna do with this pizza dough now is I'm gonna actually put this in the refrigerator. Now, I can use this anytime in the next 3 days. It can stay in my refrigerator for up to 3 days. Otherwise, I could put this straight in my freezer and freeze this, and then take it out, let it thaw overnight in my refrigerator, take it out about an hour before I wanna use it to make pizza, and I'm good. So you can use this or freeze it within 3 days, and it will be totally fine. I like to keep mine frozen for no longer than a month, but you do what works for you. So let's do the final shaping on the other one. So I'm just flipping it over. I'm gonna put my hand in the middle, grab and pull the dough into the center. Super easy. Pizza dough is one of those things, it's just so easy. I'm pinching it all together. I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna do that same technique with my pinky where I'm pushing the dough down underneath itself, kind of tucking it in and turning. There you go. That is it. Couldn't be easier, okay? So flip my dough over, make sure it's all pinched together. And then it's gonna go right in my oiled container. I'm just making sure that the oil is on the sides too. All right, here we go. A little more oil on top. Spread that around. And that's it. Now this is gonna make two 12 to 14 inch rounds of pizza dough, so plenty of dough. You could actually use this to make two like individual mini pizzas or one large pizza. So you could have 4 minis or 2 large pizzas with this amount of dough. So in the refrigerator it goes, and then I'll come back. You know, I could actually use this right now if I wanted. I don't even have to refrigerate it and do the cold ferment, but for timing purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I think it deepens the flavor when you can do the cold ferment, but you don't have to. You can skip it. You could technically use this and make pizza for dinner or lunch right now. But for me, for timing, because I want to use this tomorrow, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, and then I will take it out about an hour before I want to use it, just to let it come to room temperature, because it will be a lot easier to spread out my pizza dough if it's at room temperature. So into the fridge. All right, it is the next day. That's the magic of TV, right? Our pizza dough was in the refrigerator overnight. I took it out about an hour ago and just let it sit at room temperature. Now remember, we made enough dough for 2 pizzas, so I had 2 containers like this. I put one in the fridge overnight, and then the other one I put in the refrigerator overnight, and I moved it to my freezer this morning. So I'm gonna keep that one in the freezer for about, I don't know, a couple of weeks until we decide we want pizza again. So you've got enough dough for 2 large pizzas. So this one's been sitting out for about an hour. Let's see what it looks like here. There's our dough. You can see all of the bubbles in the dough. It's definitely alive. It has risen just a little bit since I took it out of the refrigerator, which is perfect. The reason why you want to leave this out of the refrigerator for 45 minutes to an hour is so that it can come to room temperature. It'll be a lot easier to shape that way, okay? Now, I've got everything that I need for my pizza here. I've got some mozzarella cheese, some pepperoni, a little bit of pizza sauce, some Italian seasoning, because I like to sprinkle that over the top just to be a little bit extra. And then we're gonna start rolling out this pizza dough. Now, I'm not a fan of using a rolling pin because I just feel like that's extra work, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my hands to do this. Now, you've got 2 options when it comes to rolling out your pizza dough, okay? The first option is gonna be to use some olive oil. This is just a spray bottle with some olive oil, and spray your pan that you're gonna be putting your pizza dough on. That'll keep the dough from sticking. I also think it gives a nice flavor to the crust. If you're gonna be baking it in a pizza pan or a pizza tray just like this. Now the other option is that if you've got a pizza stone or a baking steel in your oven, that's even better. I happen to have a baking steel in my oven, and my oven is preheating to 500 degrees right now, and that baking steel is getting screaming hot. So what I want to do is actually make my pizza dough, and I'm going to do that, or make my pizza on the back side of this pizza pan, and then I'm going to transfer it onto my pizza steel. So I don't want my pizza dough to stick to this, and the reason why I'm using the back side is so that I can easily slide my pizza off and onto my pizza steel that's already preheated in the oven. So for that, I'm going to use some semolina flour. Now, if you're not familiar with semolina flour, it's a little bit grittier than like an all-purpose or bread flour, and it's great for things like pizza dough, or if you're making English muffins and you don't want them to stick. So I'm just going to sprinkle this pretty generously with this semolina flour. You can get this at your regular grocery store, because I don't want my dough to stick to it, okay? All right, now I'm gonna take my pizza dough, there we go, okay. And this is great because remember, we oiled our container. That's gonna make it really easy for me to press out our pizza dough. Now, some people will pick up the pizza dough and use their knuckles to spread it out, or get a rolling pin, or dust it with a bunch of flour. I'm gonna do it the easy way. I'm just taking my hands, and I'm actually going from the center of the dough, and I'm pressing out. And then I'll turn my pan. My hands weren't slippery from the oil, and I will keep going and just keep pressing this dough out and stretching it. Now, when I was in high school, I worked at a pizza place, but I didn't make the pizza. So I'm not great at shaping pizza dough. I used to watch the guys there do it, and it was like pretty amazing. They were throwing pizza dough all around. I wish I could do that, but if I did that right now, there's a good chance that I wouldn't actually catch the pizza dough after I tossed it. So we're not going to do that because we don't want to wreck our perfectly good sourdough pizza dough. Now, your dough is going to be enough to make about a 12-inch pizza, so a good size pizza. So just keep going, keep stretching You want to make sure you make a lip there for your crust. And if you want to use a rolling pin to do this, go for it. But I think it's just as easy to use my hands. Okay, so once you've got it rolled out to a shape that you're happy with, and I'm pretty happy with this, trust me, I've done this several times and it's come nowhere near a circle plenty of other times. So I feel like the more I do it, the better I get. But honestly, it's gonna taste good no matter what shape your pizza crust is in, right? Okay. All right, so now I am going to add my toppings. All right, let's start with our pizza sauce here. Okay, just gonna spoon some of that on. I'm gonna use the back of the spoon to spread the pizza sauce around. And you can put as much or as little as you like. I love this sourdough pizza crust because it's so forgiving. You really cannot screw it up. It's got amazing flavor because we did that long cold ferment in the refrigerator. The sourdough just adds this additional flavor to it. So it's so much better, I think, than just your basic pizza crust. All right, I am pretty happy with that. But like I said, you do you. If you want more pizza sauce, put more pizza sauce, okay? If you think I overdid it and you want less, then just put less. Okay, we've got our shredded mozzarella cheese here. I have a real problem when it comes to cheese because I'm one of those people that I actually think like more is more. And I'm always having to tell myself like, don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. You don't want to have a soggy pizza because you put so much stuff on it, but it's really hard to resist. Okay. All right, and then I'm just making a pepperoni pizza here because that's easy. The kids love it. I know everybody will eat it, but you can put whatever you want on yours. My personal favorite, and you can tell me in the comments, is Hawaiian. I love the Canadian bacon and pineapple. So tell me in the comments if you think pineapple belongs on pizza. I know this is a touchy subject, and some people feel very strongly about that, but I really like the pineapple on the pizza with the Canadian bacon. So good. Okay, we like a lot of pepperoni on here, so I'm being generous with it. Nobody wants a slice that doesn't have pepperoni, right? All right, and then last thing, I'm gonna take some of this Italian seasoning. This is totally optional, but I like the Italian seasoning. It's just a little bit of basil and oregano, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it right over the top. I think it adds just a little something. And that is it. My pizza is ready to go in my 500-degree oven. Now this is gonna take between 15 to 20 minutes depending on your oven. I'm gonna put this on a pizza steel. So I'm gonna guess for me, since the steel is really hot and the oven's really hot, it's probably gonna take, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes. So let's pop it in the oven and we'll come back. All right, in the oven, we're one step closer to eating our sourdough pizza. Let's go. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Look at how bubbly and toasty it is. Look at this crust, you guys. I mean, look at that. It's pretty amazing. That is like, I don't even know. It's like 1.5 inches thick. I'm so excited to eat this. It just came out of the oven. This is the hardest part. We're gonna let it cool for just a couple of minutes and then I'm gonna slice into it and show you what this amazing sourdough pizza crust looks like. Okay, it's been about 3 or 4 minutes. I can't wait any longer. Let's slice this pizza so we can try it, all right? Okay, can you hear how crispy this crust is? Oh, it's gonna be so good. I mean, yeah, I'm excited to eat it. Okay, look at that. All right, I'm gonna have a bite. I can't help myself. I'm so hungry. It's perfect timing. So good. You guys, Look at this crust. It's so light and airy, and that's that sourdough. You get that good crispy crust. There's so much more flavor than a regular pizza dough. And you know, if you're struggling with your sourdough, if you've had some fails, if you're new at it, try the sourdough pizza dough because you need a win, and this is gonna be a sure thing. It's a win, all right? If you're struggling with sourdough and you need a little bit more help, watch this video next where I literally walk you through the entire process step by step in a way that's easy to understand. Nothing overly complicated, none of the info that you don't need, only the stuff you really need to make great sourdough bread. I'll see you over there.